Overkill, probably.
And it had a
Yeah.
plug, it had the plug, military aircraft style plug
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
way overkill.
Well, it supplied, yeah, but it
Hell, you only need 300 volts at 100 milliamps.
It's not transmitting, it's just receiving.
Just a
But
receiver.
but I
Receivers,
wish
yeah.
I had gotten that power supply out because
Still
even
eat
if
the
the
house.
radios,
Yeah.
that power supply with that connector would have powered probably almost half the aircraft receivers they made. Because it had that funny big plug for aircraft.
Was it round?
Yeah, but it was the round one and it screwed on.
It's kinda like- it's kinda like-
I have those TCS radios. I showed you those. That stack of radios that came out of Navy ship.
I think,
They were small,
yeah.
but they got like an odd
Yeah.
cinch connector on them damn things that you can't hardly find.
You know, it's,
Well, you can find them, but they want $50 for the connector.
Wow.
Because there's like 50 left, right?
and I
Yeah.
paid, and you figure I paid $35
Maybe I
for the
shouldn't have threw
radio
that box
work
in my head
with
when
power
we were in the
supply and everything. It was a Canadian guy had it, a VE3.
Oh, okay.
Shit, I threw away there. Man, I
But
wish
he
I
was
could.
up there, you know.
When
Took
I
out
was,
some,
We've got.
where did I buy that? When I was in Fargo, no, it wasn't Fargo.
Yeah.
When I was in Grand Forks, I bought an
Tubes.
HQ
Man, I don't know how many
120.
tubes I threw away.
That
My
was
God.
the first one.
When
Did you
I-
see? Yeah, did you see that in my shack?
I didn't notice it, but
I was still
I
active,
seen
well,
pictures, you know.
somewhat active Navy Mars. I'm
And
still
somebody, I
officially
think the
on-
filament transformer got of it, so they put a filament
I bought a
transformer on
600
in the cabinet for the filaments and bypassed the
Electron
original one.
amplifier.
So,
That's a shame, though.
And
yeah.
it made
So
a
I gotta
difference.
go and see if
Well,
I
that's
can
like
buy
my 129X.
Then you gotta have
Yeah.
a bigger, see, at
That's
the time
one
I
modification
hadn't
we put in
upscaled
there.
the tuner yet, so I
Didn't
couldn't
come
push the
standard
amp all
with
the
it.
way.
Yeah.
The tuner
He
couldn't
put-
handle
built the
it.
crystal
Right,
calibrator
so
in.
200,
okay,
which is-
250, you know.
that's a good feature,
Limit
though.
on tuner's 300.
Can't you take it out,
So
unplug
then I
it?
got
I
a
think,
1,000 watt.
Yeah,
See,
I
tuner,
think
all
so
those
then-
Hammerlands
watt
and
tuner.
MH had an
We
octal
punched drop
socket you could
600.
plug
Oh, yeah, it
something
makes a
into.
difference.
I bet that's
But
where
it's
it's
a
plugged,
pain.
yeah.
And you plug
Yeah.
it in, even though it's
Warm
warm.
it
Maybe
up,
so,
let it
something
get
like
dry.
that, but it's done.
It's done, let it run for a while, cool down.
Just
yeah.
like
Cool
the
down.
radio,
Yep.
everything
But it
else.
was nice.
It
But
looks
it
like
was-
it was made
but it was,
for
you know, it
but
was a
it's got the-
600
but
watt
it's got that
tube,
shiny, nice
811
crystal in it
to
that just doesn't.
Yeah,
nice
I've got the national.
They make an 800.
What the heck do they call it?
811.
CR,
When I
CRU 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
That
Lid,
plugs into the.
tubes were tired.
You know, what
Yeah.
the
Really
shame
putting
is
out
though,
about
now they're
3.
taking all these shortwave stations off the air, so the
Yeah, they get a rough time.
shortwave
But I,
radio
but, you know, I
is
just didn't pay a lot of
disappearing
attention to it. I
because
said,
there's
well,
less
if I
than
open
you
this
can
up, I
hear.
could get fried because
About, unless you
the
can
bastard's gonna
understand
store a
Spanish
million
and French.
Oh, yes.
you know. So I just never
almost
did
all
get
the rest
around
of
to
the stations
thinking about
are
it. I
either
thought about
propaganda
replacing them
or
with 811s
Really?
with 572s.
Well, yeah,
I never
I don't
did
know,
that. And I was like,
HCJ, is
finally decided, you know, I don't really want this guy.
They moved it.
So I sold that
I
in
don't
the
know.
tuner,
But like
and
the
I got enough money to
BBC's
buy a
gone
brand
and all
new,
these, they're all gone.
brand new 15.
BBCs are all gone?
Which I did a
Well,
lot more
they
use
do
on.
some kind
If
of
22
abbreviated
prices
short
will come
program.
down.
Or they're probably sitting on the internet
I'm
now.
gonna have
Yeah,
more fun
they
with
are.
that than I ever did with the amp.
And that,
Yeah.
and
The amp was
the
fun,
World
but-
Service is gone now,
Oh my
BBC.
God.
Because I
So
always
go
used
100
to
watts,
set it up
you know,
Christmas
should
morning
work
to get
in
it
most
on.
situations.
So my wife
Yeah.
would listen to the Queen's Christmas message
Yeah.
to the Empire. But she spoke to the, and it went on every channel all at once, and I put it on for her, so she could listen to the Queen's message to the British Empire. But I mean, like, a lot of the
So like-
stations
she's
are
like
gone.
almost
I
nothing
mean, like,
to it.
you can get Radio Havana.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah,
like,
yeah. and
Radio Deutsche Welle, I don't think Germany.
I think they're gone,
Radio
and
Netherlands might
The
still be on.
Keto's still on that Christian station?
No, they moved it.
They
Well,
moved- they
it's
moved
coming
it?
back up. They were moving
Yeah.
it.
Keto.
I mean, that
Almost all
station-
those shortwave guys that were cool are gone.
My
It was a
favorite
different era.
station was CKRC out of Winnipeg when I was growing up as a kid. That and WLS Chicago.
Well, WLS had a lot of power.
I listened to a lot of that at night.
And what was
boy.
that big one in Albuquerque that had a huge on AM?
Well, I knew Omaha's was KOMA, but
But
I
there
don't
was
know
one out of
the-
Albuquerque
I don't
that
know.
was really, really big. too.
KOMA was big.
And then they had KX, LAX or something like that. Is that right? Maybe not. Out of LA, it's
Could be
50,000.
Yeah.
KLAX.
Yeah, there you go. I
Well,
think
see,
it was
we
like
never-
50,000
We never
watts
could
too.
get the K. I was in New Jersey, and even though I was near High Point, which is the highest point in New Jersey, where New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania meet kind
Yeah.
of there. And I was up in that area, in the foothills of the mountains, but not in a very high point. And from there, I had this old Zenith long distance with the tuning eye
Yeah.
out of a case. The guy was chopping the case up for firewood, and I talked him out of the radio, so I hauled it upstairs with the big speaker. And I lived on the third floor in the bedroom. And whenever I wanted to listen to radio, I'd open the window and throw about 50 foot of wire out, and it wouldn't touch the ground. It'd be blowing in the breeze, you know.
So is that an Oceanic? One of the Oceanic?
Zenith
no.
Zenith Transoceanics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got one of them laying
This,
around.
I don't know, this was a big plug-in one.
But there was another one made, black one with a big ass handle on it, had one
A
antenna on it.
Grundig? Was it a Grundig?
God, I don't know. I had one for a long time. We finally got rid of it. It also used to hear police and all the shortwave. And
The old Oceanics were good old radios.
And that thing on AM, I could get most of the stations east of Mississippi, like at night, when it got dark, I get WKBW, that was Buffalo,
What was St. Louis's?
Philadelphia, you get Fort Wayne, Indiana, I think that was WOWO.
yeah, that was,
WWW
yeah,
Fort
yeah,
Wayne.
yeah,
I
that
could
was
get
good.
that
That was
one.
good. Yeah.
And we get.
St. Louis had one.
SAL was it?
No.
No, that would have been Salt
K,
Lake.
was it KMOX?
Might have been, I remember that one.
It's a big station
And we
too in
used to
St.
get-
Louis.
And then the other one we used to get, I don't know why, it wasn't a big station, but for some reason, it was in the mountains, we were in the mountains, and it just came, it was like a 10,000 watt AM, but it came through where the others didn't. That was,
Denver?
no,
West Virginia.
WWVA, Wheeling, West Virginia.
Yes, there
That
you
would
go.
come
Yeah,
through
yeah.
At night,
Yep.
I don't know why, that would come through as clear as a New York City station.
WWVA, huh?
And what was a big one?
Wheeling, West
WABC? Was
Virginia.
that New York? Is that the
What
big
is it?
one in New York? Was
WCBS.
Yeah.
CBS?
And ABC too.
WCBS.
Well, see, I was in different places, and when I was in Quebec, I was able to hear things. When I was in Indiana, I was able to hear things.
ABC,
But the
CBS,
one-
WNBC, I suppose.
The one, yeah.
Because they got
yeah,
TV
yeah.
calls, you
Right,
know,
right.
now, and radio both.
Right. But the one I found the most interesting was KCJB in North Pole, Alaska. They did
It
10,000
wasn't
watts.
KCJB.
King Jesus,
KC.
KJC.
That could be, because KCJB is 910 here.
Yeah.
KJCP. King Jesus North, I forget anyhow. KJNP, excuse me. King Jesus North Pole, I think it was. Anyhow, 10,000 watt Omni, religious broadcast and community service out to all the villages.
Oh, yeah.
And, so that was very cool. Bob, I got the part for the weasel, but this is one of these little crawler things, right? But there's bad weather. I won't be in for another week. So and so's got the mumps.
Typical.
Yeah, we need it, or what?
Alaskan style.
Right.
Yeah.
It
It's
was
like
it was-
Australia too. with
But
drought.
yeah, but it was, it was
outback.
at that time. It was one of the few forms of communication. Well,
Yeah.
at night, remember the Cold War's raging at this time.
Yep.
They go 50,000 watts narrow beam AM at Russia. Right?
Loved it, I bet.
The guys in Finland hear them just fine, so they know they're getting through.
Yep.
And these guys were so gutsy, they went out in planes and boats right up to the edge of Russian space and dropped off tracks and bottles and stuff and that. Nearly got their butt shot off and stuff, a couple different times. So then the Russians sent in agents and actually chopped down the cables for the tower, right? But the tower fell the wrong way. It was the way they cut it. It should have fell and hit the shack. It fell the other way. It didn't hurt the shack. So in a couple days they had the antenna back up and they were on the air. Russians were pissed. Oh, they were really pissed. So they were having a real effect. It was interesting. But these big stations were cool because I know the big one in Albuquerque. You could hear that in a whole big zone there, primarily in Mountain Time Zone. And, trucker stuff and road and weather information. All this stuff was back when you had live DJs.
Yeah.
And it
How
was
about
classic.
WLS? Did you hear them?
Yeah.
Where were
I
you?
was out of
New
Chicago.
Jersey?
I was in Indiana.
Indiana? Oh, yeah, that'd be close.
I could get
That's
them.
Chicago.
I could get them in New Jersey at night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
50,000
Yeah,
watts.
at night. Well, yeah.
And sometimes,
That was
depending,
100,000 watts, I think.
depending on the way
Now
the
you can
weather
listen
was
to
going.
everything on
500,000?
the planet on your phone.
Was this TV?
Radio.
Radio's 50,000 was the limit then for radio.
Oh, then been a 50,000 water.
Yeah.
We could get New Orleans if it was real good, and then you could get Bleecker Street and some of them midnight mystery. About midnight,
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning, you get the.
The WLS was one of the first
the
stations
Phantom
on
on
the
the
air.
radio. And
It was
stuff
big,
like
and it was WABC, one of the other ones?
Oh, I'm sure WABC and CBS were first.
WABC
Well,
was
that,
the number
scanner
one
radio
station
app,
in New York. They played all
you can
rock
listen
and roll
to the
music. Matter of
police
fact,
in
almost there were only
Queensland,
2
Australia.
rock and roll
Yep.
stations in New York. Every other
Why
one
you'd
played
want to, I have no
country,
idea, but
western.
you could.
Exactly, good.
All the
Some of
FMs did too.
Some of the little overseas transmitters, like what do they call it? AFRTS, Air Force
Yeah.
Radio and
Radio and
Television
television, yeah.
Service. You see this guy, and they got you got your logo for the station, right? This is that Da Nang, and they got a guy sitting there, helmet on a little bunker like this, one of these like what do they call them? Charlie Brown Christmas trees next to him.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas for
Yep.
Da Nang.
On the TV set.